Xbox is on fire. I want to do a deep dive on what is going on over there as they just shut down 4 studios. We also got leaks for the new Tomb Raider game that sound pretty good. Capcom leaks for their upcoming lineup and way more gaming news to go over. So sit back and let's go. Let's start with God of War Ragnarok because that is coming to PC soon according to D-Labs, who has been right many times before. It's one of my favorite games of all time, so great news that more people can enjoy it. And we have of course Ghost of Tsushima launching on PC on May 16th, so God of War Ragnarok is probably up next. And that probably means that it's launching before the typical 2-year window that we saw for Horizon Forbidden West and the other PS5 exclusives like Returnal and Ratchet & Clank. Which likely means that we will see Spider-Man 2 on PC also way before the October 2025 window, with them probably slowly moving into the Helldivers 2 model, so a day 1 release on Steam and PS5. Also for their single player games. Now let's hope they don't get in the way of their own success anymore. I could not cover the whole PSN account drama thing for Helldivers 2 last week because of my schedule, but luckily they dropped the PSN ID requirement, which also caused many players to change their negative review to a positive one, like the review bombing and the game being delisted from countries where PSN accounts were not available was really a big deal when it was all happening, but Xbox was like, hold my beer this week. Again, I will discuss their big news in a moment. It requires a bit more of a deep dive. Now real quick, the PlayStation Showcase is very likely still happening this month with new rumors indicating that as well, but probably in the latter half. I already predicted the May 22nd or 29th date last week, and that still seems like a solid bet. I will of course keep you posted here on the channel. And there's totally a chance that the new Tomb Raider game will be revealed at that show, which to be fair, if these leaks are to be believed, sounds pretty promising. In April 2022, it was confirmed that Crystal Dynamics would move from Avengers back to Tomb Raider with a new game on Unreal Engine 5. Amazon is involved with publishing the game, and this seems to be a new look for Lara. Like, she will be a more experienced Tomb Raider in this new title, seemingly taking place after the Shadow of the Tomb Raider games. And we now have some leaks that we should of course take with a grain of salt, but it comes from V Scooper. I did not know this person at first, but they are known for movie scoops. And they note that the game features fast sceneries, free use of the motorcycle, parachute, and common Lara traversal methods to unrestrictedly navigate across a big map and its challenges. So yes, they're moving into more of an open world, which I think could be really cool for the series. I like the open map in The Lost Legacy, for example, or driving with the car in Africa in Uncharted 4. This Tomb Raider game should be set in India, by the way, but yeah, a full-blown open world title, I'm down. And V Scooper also notes that Lara will have a skill tree with spells. Okay, I'm curious how that's gonna work. Shadow of the Tomb Raider did not really set the world on fire. Like, they need to do something else, and I think an open world lends itself perfectly for secrets and temples, like really rewarding exploration. And it could be coming soon, like the game is seemingly supposed to release in less than a year if there are no delays, but this is totally not locked. Avengers released in 2020, so you would hope that they already started almost 4 years ago, while a separate team was of course still doing DLC for Avengers. So that makes an early 2025 window at the earliest, I think, possible. I at least hope that we see it revealed and what it will look like at the PlayStation Showcase. I think that makes the most sense, as Xbox doesn't want to take the spotlight likely away from Indiana Jones, that they will of course be showing at their event on June 9th. Curious to hear what you think of the Tomb Raider rumors, drop it in the comments. The Xbox deep dive is coming up. Of course, if you like these gaming news round of videos, drop a like, that would really help me out, and subscribe because I post one of these every Sunday. Yes, so let's talk Xbox, because as you maybe already heard, they shut down 4 Bethesda studios this week as they want to prioritize high-impact titles and further investment in Bethesda's portfolio of blockbuster games. So that means that there's no room for Alpha Dog anymore, the developers of the Mighty Doom mobile game that will also go offline. Roundhouse, that will move into ZeniMax Online to continue their support for the Elder Scrolls Online. Arcane Austin is getting shuttered, so the studio known for Prey, the Mooncrash DLC, and most recently Redfall, that of course flopped big time. Good to note is that this is a separate team from Arcane Leon, who is now working on the Blade game, and of course before this did Deathloop and Dishonored, like they are still around. But Tango Gameworks, most recently responsible for Hi-Fi Rush and the Evil Within games, did also get shut down. I was really surprised by this news when I read this. It really sucks. Like, I really feel for everyone that got let go. I hope they land on their feet. Like, my immediate reaction was, and I tweeted this as well, we cannot trust anything Xbox says anymore. Last year, Phil Spencer talked about how he's a huge supporter of Arcane despite the Redfall reception, and basically how he would support them to turn Redfall around and make new games in the future. Well, they could not do any of that. Hi-Fi Rush is even crazier, as this was a major success according to Xbox. Like, what kind of message does this send to the other Xbox studios? You can make an 87 Metacritic game, win awards, be beloved by fans, and have Xbox publicly say that your game is a success and still shut your doors a year later. Like, it's clear that there's a massive shift happening inside Xbox, and the reason is that their bets over the last decade just did not pay off and have actually made the situation worse. We learned that Microsoft internally expected Game Pass to grow to 110 million paying subscribers by 2030. But in reality, the revenue from Game Pass subscriptions, like Xbox Game Pass, has barely grown in 2 years. Like, really, single digit, like 1-2% growth. So even with big releases like Starfield and Forza, it doesn't matter. The ceiling has been reached on console and PC for years now, and in turn they created a far worse scenario because their consumers are now trained to expect big games on a monthly platform and are far less likely to buy games for full price. Earlier this year we heard that some publishers, including a major one, are questioning support for Xbox because the games on that platform just don't sell very well. And also because of Game Pass, the sales of Xbox's own games that they first would get 100% of all the money from took a nosedive. Like, Fallout 4 shipped 12 million copies in one day. Starfield was the 37th best-selling game in Europe in 2023. That's insane. It was number 11 in the US. Like, for a title of that caliber and budget, that's really not great. Only if it was offset by a ton of new Game Pass subscribers, but we know that that was not the case, as again there was no meaningful long-term growth after the release. And launching it exclusively on Xbox and not on PlayStation also did not help the Xbox hardware, that actually saw a decrease in sales of 30%, while also decreasing in sales 30% the year before. Xbox One is selling better than the Xbox Series at the same point in the life cycle. Like, whatever Xbox is doing is simply not working. So now they are debating whether they want to put Call of Duty on Game Pass. Like, sure, that would cause some new subscribers, but as we have also seen, it could also hurt them way more than they gain. It's a very bad position that this leadership got themselves into. But they got to keep their jobs while studios are being shuttered, and it's probably not over yet. So the reason why Arcane Austin and Tango Gameworks were seemingly on the chopping block, and this according to the head of Xbox Game Studios, is because they released games last year and were looking to hire additional staff as they pitched new projects. So basically, because Microsoft had to wait 3 to 5 years for a return on investment from those teams, they were just shut down, which incredibly sad. Tango was planning to work on Hi-Fi Rush 2, by the way, and Arcane Austin was pitching a new Dishonored. Again, it's not about getting a steady stream of quality games to Game Pass anymore, because those games would have been easy wins. So what if you are Ninja Theory right now that is about to launch Hellblade 2 on May 21st? Yes, it's launching very, very soon. I know not a lot of people are aware of that. Like, after that game is released, you'll be in a similar situation as those two studios that just got shut down. What about teams like Double Fine, that is not known for high-selling games? Or Compulsion Games looking to launch south of midnight. Like, does Xbox even have space for these titles anymore when they now seemingly want to focus on big blockbusters and care less about filling the Game Pass subscription? It was also said that the company's studios have been spread too thin and that they decided to close these studios to free up resources elsewhere. Basically, we bought way too many studios, we cannot manage them, so we're now closing them and focusing on the big ones. What a surprise, like nobody could have expected that. Now, I can go on, but I want to end with two things. One, it's clear that the current management at Xbox is just not capable of running the brand and even made things worse. They really need to go. They had unlimited resources, a decade time, and Xbox is not in a much better position generation than during the Xbox One generation. And because this management then decided to buy Activision for $69 billion, Microsoft as a whole is now way more involved in the Xbox business, and that is causing them to make these cuts. But the biggest thing is that even after all this time, they failed to deliver a couple of major titles that people have to play and will buy your console for, with their biggest series like Halo and Gears being way smaller than they've ever been. So now looking ahead, I think it's clear what will happen, because the two success stories Microsoft did have this year so far are the Fallout TV show, which of course caused a huge surge in Fallout game sales on every platform as well, including PlayStation, and Sea of Thieves, which was the best-selling game in April on the PlayStation Store in Europe, and it was number 3 in the US. Like, they're gonna bring way more games over to competitors to get money that way and just slowly become an enormous third-party publisher. But this will likely come at the cost of the many studios they bought for their Game Pass initiative. Studios that got the freedom to make new IPs, creative games to bolster the Game Pass lineup, but that will likely not sell the numbers that Microsoft is now looking for. So yeah, I'm afraid that they won't be needed for much longer. Of course, your take, more than welcome in the comments. I really hope I'm wrong. Overall, it's just super sad news, of course, with these studios now gone. But I fear there's just more to come in the coming months, sadly. And now let's do some quick shots. News stories I will go over quickly. Capcom namely said that they have major titles coming this financial year, so before April 2025, and they will announce which titles that are at a later date. Well, they are very likely Monster Hunter Wilds, that will have more info during Summer Game Fest, and Resident Evil 9, that should actually be out in January 2025 already, according to a big Capcom leaker. So high chance that will also be at the big PlayStation Showcase event in the coming weeks, with maybe a demo or something. That's of course what they usually like to do. And Dragon's Dogma 2 is of course made on the RE engine, and it seems that Resident Evil 9 will use some of that tech to also move into a more open world direction than what we normally see. So another series like Tomb Raider moving in that direction. Of course, let me know what you think of that in the comments, and this will of course be the first next-gen only Resident Evil title, while RE4 and 8 were of course still on PS4. And we had a surprise release this week. Hades 2 is out now in early access on PC, and it will come to other platforms in 2025 at the earliest with a full release. And like the game is a huge success, in one day it already beat the first game's all-time peak player count on Steam. And Joyce, you've been playing it, right?
That's right, Jorn. I have an absolute blast with it. It doesn't even feel like it's still in early access with how much content there already is to discover. I really like the first game, and this direct sequel builds on the roguelike elements, but we now play Millenaway, the sister of the previous protagonist, with a new goal, namely to kill a titan and rescue her father Hades. It features a cast of returning favorites, but also brand new gods that will give you exciting new powers like fire blasts and armor that will help you get through the mythic underworld. I at least can see myself spending way more time with it. The less you know, the better, trust me. If you like the previous Hades, you are in for quite a ride.
Awesome, I think I will wait for the full release myself, but great to hear that it's good. And of course, let me know if you've been playing in the comments down below. And well, the Rogue Prince of Persia that was supposed to launch this coming week on May 14th has now been delayed to later this month because of the Hades 2 release. I think it's smart, it would have totally been overshadowed. So I would not be surprised if they're now looking at the final week of May, and this, by the way, the game created by the Dead Cell makers. Now we still have, of course, Ghost of Tsushima release on PC this coming week. We already did a video with tips, and we'll have more Ghost content, of course, coming your way, with hopefully a video on Ghost of Tsushima 2 when it's announced at the PlayStation Showcase later this month. And yeah, we might see the official confirmation of the showcase this coming week. I will of course keep you posted and share predictions when it happens. Capcom will have their full financials on Monday, so maybe more details on what those big games will be during that investor call. Square Enix will also share their results and maybe tease future titles on Monday. We will hear PlayStation news at Sony's investor call on May 14th, and Take-Two will also be an interesting one on May 16th. Like Borderlands 4 could still happen this year, although the chances are getting slimmer each day, but we will hear what their outlook for the upcoming 12 months will be, and if maybe titles like Judas are coming in early 2025. So it will be a very interesting Sunday video. Like, I will of course give you the in-depth roundup then, and we will also have the Ubisoft investor call on May 15th, where we will maybe already hear stuff about Assassin's Creed Red. I hope so. I'll be tuning in. So overall, keep an eye on the channel this week. It's gonna be a good one. And now subscribe to not miss anything. A like would really help me out. And check out my recent Assassin's Creed video about some future things, interesting insights. I think you will like it. So check it out by clicking on the screen. I will speak to you soon. Goodbye.